Hi, and this is DangerPanda, and we're still playing Loren the Amazon Princess. Oh, and I would like to apologize for not posting videos since Wednesday because severe weather, and I'd rather be on top of that than trying to post videos and, having tornado sirens going off. In fact, Wednesday's video came on. That one was posted before the tornado sirens went off, and I was like, whew, thank goodness that wasn't going on while I was trying to upload the video. So let's go to the camp and see if Loren has anything to say to us. And apparently she does. Elenor approached Loren tentatively. She looked deep in thought, and it was probably dangerous to disturb her. Nevertheless, she spoke up. Your Highness? Fortunately, Loren gave her a slight nod of acknowledgement, but nothing more. Forgive me for asking, but I do not know much of the situation. Perhaps if you told me more, I could assist you better. What more is there to know? My mother is missing. Yes, but what was the Queen doing to have gone missing? When was the last time you saw her? Loren raised her chin while her eyes blinked rapidly. I cannot tell you much of anything. I wish I could, but I can't. My mother was an immensely private person. She was sad there for a second. But you are asking for the facts, and the facts are that Mother, the Queen, was not in her bedchamber one morning, and we have not seen her since. And the scouts? Were you not there? They could not find her, even though they could track a sparrow through a forest. They could not find their own queen. Loren looked away. Elenor was uneasy in the ensuing silence. But we will succeed where the scouts have failed. Absolutely. The conviction brought hope to her. She uttered a sigh. I already knew that. Yes, Your Grace. Let's see if she has more to say. Your Majesty, if I may ask, now that we are traveling together, I would like to know what you expect of me. What kind of question is this? Everything I need for you. That is what a servant is for. I see. I am still your princess, even though I have left the citadel. Yes, I was not doubting that at all, ma'am. It's only that I am not used to this type of servitude. I've already told you that your bed tricks are useless to me. Yes, I know. I was hoping you could tell how best to serve you. All of my slaves stood 5 paces away from me at all times, and they did not look me in the eyes. Elenor immediately averted her eyes and took several steps away. Loren evaluated her. No, that looks odd when there is only one of you. You may stand closer. Elenor shuffled back. Behind me, when I am not addressing you. Yes. Thank you, mistress. It was a small victory for her to be allowed more intimacy with Loren. Perhaps when they came to know each other more, Elenor could stand with respect next to her. Let's see if she has any more to say. And yes, she does. Mistress, what can you tell me of the citadel? Being the princess, you must hold much more knowledge of it than I. Loren crossed her arms. Of course I do. The citadel was built stone by the Great Mothers. We were once able to defend our land without it, but fools kept testing the strength of the Amazons, and so our walls were built. In our fortress we are invincible. The walls of the citadel are impenetrable and always well defended. It's held off invasions by every ragtag banner known. You would think some militants would learn to avoid us, but the stability of our mighty home will likely continue to be tested. Such is the way of the world. I sometimes wonder why Mother doesn't send the scouts upon all other empires and conquer them all. Probably because that would be a very bad idea. You're right, Elenor, that would be a bad idea. That shows what you know. Shut up, Loren. Put aside the plausibility and the ethical complications, you'd probably just end up wiping out the Amazons rather than conquering Aragorn. Those words could be considered treason. What? Why? It's just the facts. Amazons are just a small population in a big world. That means nothing. Well, yes, I hope for my own sake that the Amazons win, but I wouldn't bet my money on it, that's all. You are dismissed. Yeah, Elenor, why'd you say that stuff? Elenor smiled at her, but she did not smile back. Do you have anything more to say, Your Highness? No. We should break camp soon. There is much to be done. And off to the town of Grimoire we go. Quest completed. Travel to Grimoire. Okay, let's put all of Loren's points into strength and give her knockdown skill. And as for Elenor, we're going to put 1 point into strength and the rest into skill and give her Flaming Torch. Okay. They arrived in Grimoire. Elenor was able to get them past the gate guard without any trouble. Just a warning to keep all weapons away. The open market in the town square was bustling with activity. So this is all the human empire can show for their capital. Oof, it smells just as charming too. The sooner we find my mother, the sooner we may wash this stench from us. Come, we need to find out what these settlers know. Loren wants to search all over Grimoire for clues, blah-de-blah-de-blah. To end your search, go to the tavern. Let's start at the marketplace. They walked through the stalls of the market. Loren flinched and recoiled at everyone that was hurrying past her. Her patience disappeared. She stomped her foot and shouted at the top of her lungs, "Enough! I am Loren of the Amazons. I am on a search for my mother." The whole of the marketplace turned to gawk at her, and then they continued with what they were doing, completely uninterested. Loren was stunned. Never been ignored in her life. Elenor was worried that she would take it personally and become angry, so she swooped in to disrupt her thoughts. Let us ask one of the vendors personally. Maybe they have seen our queen. Loren's lips pressed tightly together as she reluctantly walked up to a fruit stall. "I am Princess Loren, my mother, the Queen of the Amazons." "Apples! Fresh apples! Apples! Good fruit for you!" The salesman picked up a bright red fruit that neither of them had seen before and shoved it into Loren's hand. Her eyes went large from being handled like a commoner. "1 apple or 2 apples?" Loren, however, was too offended to respond. 2 apples! 2 apples for the big woman! 2 apples! 6 gold!" And I just realized that I gave the vendor and his wife the same voice. Oh well. For what it's worth, I don't think you're a big woman. Loren glared at her as if she was even more insulted. Or I do. Very big woman. The biggest, strong woman. Breza will pay for attaching you to me. Loren dropped the apple without care for it. "We're leaving." "Yes, ma'am." The princess would not subject herself to the horror of the marketplace again. Now we're gonna go to the combat. We should search the combat arena. Loren wished to appeal to the strongest people of the city, and the grand arena in the heart of Grimoire attracted her immediately. So this is their training grounds. It is odd looking, almost like a temple. It looks as if it's more, if it is, it looks as if it is suited to seat an audience perhaps we're proving? We should be able to find their most influential people here. Elenor hoped that this would be true, but not every culture revered warriors like the Amazons. Loren walked straight into the open pit without trouble. Looking very much like she belonged there, gladiators were training loudly before them, and a few spectators were seated in the stands. Where are all the women? Are you a new recruit? I wasn't told about you. A grizzled old man eyed Loren up and down, making her uncomfortable. Behind him was a large gladiator, resting against his sword. What are you looking at, weirdo? Bring me your mightiest warrior. The gladiator raised his chin. Oh, now you're like, oh, now let's see what the hullabaloo's about. You're looking at him. Why? We need a favor in the search of my mistress's mother. The War Master and the Gladiator both turned to see Elenor for the first time. They gawked at Elenor, reaching for their weapons. Oh, because I'm an elf? Why? Come at me, bro. An elf. How did you get into the city? How did you get into the city? Eyebrow raised. Fighter, so you can go back to wherever you crawled out from. Elenor blinked at the bile that her existence had stirred in them. She could barely comprehend it. Fortunately, Loren stepped between them to shield her. She is a servant of the Amazons. Servant. We're done here. Loren looked away from the men, and Elenor rushed after her. The Empire's warriors were not all what they had hoped. Not at all what they hoped. Okay, to the guard post. We should search the guard post. They opted to ask officials rather than the public. When they walked up to the guard post, the soldiers' chatter was quickly silenced. Loren merely stood, her legs spread and her arms crossed, and not a man was taller than her. No one spoke for a very long moment. This must be the sound of pure astonishment and wonder. You're welcome, boys. Who are you, and why are you here? I am Princess Loren of the Amazons. My mother is the Queen of the Amazons. You a princess? My mother has gone missing, and she is believed to have traveled through your lands. The Amazons really exist? I thought my parents made them up to scare me. Have you seen my mother? Tell me where she is. So there really is a group of women in the mountains that enslave men? All of the guards went deadly serious, their looks turning hated. I am not ashamed of my culture. So it is true. The guards broke out in insults, demanding that they get out of their sight and that they were not welcome in Grimoire. Elenor pleaded with Loren not to kill them so that they would not earn the ire of the Empire, or else they would never find her mother. Their search was not going well. We should search the castle. The highest place of authority was naturally the next step in their search. They walked right up the castle and were able to step inside the grand hall, which was open to the public. They were not allowed any further, however. A group of guards and a royal vassal were blocking the entrance to the inner cloister. Many peasants were already pleading with the vassal to gain entry. Please, my family is starving. You must let me in. The council is in session, and we'll hear no one. Please be gone. Loren pushed past everyone with ease and stood at the front of the mob. The vassal took a step back just to take her in. The guards went tense from how threatening she looked. I am Loren of the Amazons. I have come to speak with your queen. Queen? What queen? The Empire has no queen. Loren closed her eyes briefly as if it pained her. Then your king. I'm not your king.
We have a council that governs the empire, not a king or a queen.
Then tell your council that I seek an audience with her. Ma'am? The vassal laughed at Loren, instantly enraging her. Her jaw clenched, but she restrained herself. She may be a princess, but she's mastered 200 different ways of killing a man, and it only takes one to do the job.
Well, she's a princess, not in the forest nymph. You're the 6th princess who's tried to get inside today, Loren.
I will not ask you again. Tell your council that Loren of the Amazons demands an audience. The guards raised their weapons, ready to eject Loren from the premises. Mistress, let's not get thrown out of the city, or worse, in jail. You will not get away with this. When my mother is restored to the throne, she will punish you. The vassal did not seem worried, though Elenor knew that he definitely should be. We should search the tavern. Their search for information was more difficult than they had anticipated. Their investigation had only brought them trouble and suspicion among the locals. Worse, Loren was not earning any favor for being an Amazon princess. She confided in Elenor that if her title was not to be honored, then she would refrain from invoking it. She was willing to put her pride aside for the sake of her mother. By the time they reached the tavern, the sun was starting to set. Fearful of getting the same treatment that she had received everywhere else, Loren held back and waited for Elenor to turn to her. It is late, and we have learned nothing new. What do we do now? Elenor was surprised at first, not understanding why royalty would ask a mere servant for advice. Then she remembered that it was the first time Loren had been outside the Amazon citadel. Ooh, our first romance option. Let's do it. We should get some rest and try again tomorrow. We should be able to get a room here. I believe this is an inn. Is it really safe for us to do that in a place like this? I'll guard you vigilantly tonight, Your Highness. Everything will be fine. Very wise of you. Of course, Your Highness. Elenor led Loren to the bar across the room, distantly guessing that she was innocent to the fact that they would be sleeping in the same room. Ooh, Loren's affection has increased. Loren walked over to the counter with a confident stride. Give me a room. The bartender ignored her and continued what he was doing. Did he not hear me? Maybe not. You! Give me one of your rooms. Loren raised her voice when she spoke, but the owner still ignored her. Acknowledge my presence, you uneducated lout! Let me try, Your Highness. Sir, may we please rent one of your rooms for tonight? Nothing. These humans are animals! Technically, you are a human, sweetie. The bartender scoffed. Loren's patience was gone. She reached across the bar and grabbed the owner by his tunic, yanking him clear off the ground. In the citadel! Guards! Guards! Some of the guards who were standing in the corner hurried forward to apprehend them. Draco suddenly appeared out of the crowd and hurried to take the side of Loren and Elenor. Be gone, weakling! No need to thank me. The half-elven magician whipped up a bright, hot ball of fire, sending everyone further into panic. The fire did not burn anything, but it was too hot, keeping the guards at bay. You followed us! Of course I did. Loren drew her swords. I spared your life once. Don't get in my way again. Don't kill anyone. We don't want trouble with the Empire. Yeah, what she said. I'm too handsome to die. Loren growled and ran straight through the wall of fire. Draco and Elenor could only hear her fight off the guards. She shouldn't be able to do that. Elenor shook her head and ran through the fire as well to help her mistress. Draco chuckled at how little his magic daunted these two travelers. Not like most folk, are you? Nope, no they're not. And now we have a mage. Put him right there. Okay, so during my little severe weather break, where only a couple of bad weather events happened, I was playing a little bit of Heroes of the Storm and Hearthstone, and I was debating on doing videos on them eventually, but I don't know.
It actually worked.
And because Draco's awesome and his fireball's awesome, that was a rather quick battle. And Loren leveled up. Oliver's pointing into that, and she has no skill points, so moving on. Loren kicked the last guard, sending him to the floor where the rest of the guards were groaning in pain. The fight and the fire died down, and an empty tavern was all that was left. Loren wiped the blood from her face and stalked back over to the bartender. Where were we? Begone, you filth! I'll only call more guards. Before Loren could respond, a bag of gold suddenly dropped onto the bar top in front of them. Everyone looked over to see a stout girl sitting at the bar with her hand on her hip. Oh, just give them the silly people their room, Gunther. Stick to your own business, little girl. Little girl. Little girl. She stood straight up on the bar and stomped over to the party, kicking mugs and plates off the top as she did. Her small stature told them immediately that she was a female dwarf, not a young woman. You take that back or I'll be taking my bag of gold back. Everyone stared at her. Even at her size, she looked deadly and dangerous. And if she had bags of gold to throw away, she was probably someone of great importance. She looked so sad there for a second. Oh, now the dwarf girl smiling. The dwarf woman suddenly smiled and laughed. I'm just joking with you. Being little is my best quality. Fit in small places and never be found for days. My name's Dora, by the way, and this is Gunther. Say hi, Gunther. The bartender mumbled and took the money and exchanged it for a room key. My narrator voice and my attempt at a southern accent just decided to mix in there for a second. Dora, that's a lovely name for a lovely dwarf. I'm Draco Firestarter, and yes. Draco reached up to shake the dwarf's hand, but Loren quickly slapped his arm away. What do you expect in return for your gold? Why are you helping us? Because you're different. You mean strangers. No, silly, I mean you're really tall and angry looking. You're an Amazon, right? And you're an elf, aren't you? Oh, an Amazon? That explains the tallness and the angriness. I'm a dwarf, so I'm different too. Here's a tip for you, since you're obviously new around here. Money always makes you new friends. Thank you for your advice. You're very welcome, miss. Would you perhaps be interested in sticking together? I need all the allies I can get. Elenor blinked in surprise at Loren, but Draco frowned immediately. We're in the process of conducting a rather lengthy search. Would you like to accompany me? A trip? I don't know about that. I can't afford just to leave my job here. There will be substantial reward upon completion. I am Loren. I am Princess Loren of the Amazons. Oops. The dwarf's eyes lit up. A princess? Then this sounds very interesting. I've always been a bit of an adventurer, you see. And now we have Dora, the cutest little dwarf girl ever. And for the first time since Elenor had known her, Loren smiled. I'm glad to hear that. We'd love to have you come along with us. Why did you get a formal invitation where I only got a pointy sword to the throat? Loren's demeanor changed when the man approached her with a scowl on her face. Well, probably because you're a man, so that's about it. I am a magician and I have amazing skills. Look. He sent fireworks shooting out of his hands. I don't think that's gonna get you into her good graces, Draco. Just stop. Knock that off! Oops, sorry. You're so persistent. Yes, but his persistence is a good quality, Loren. It's a good quality. Loren turned to Elenor to ask her next question. What do you think we should do? Well, in the worst case scenario, he'll become another good slave for the Amazons. Loren laughed at her comment before returning to being deadly serious. Ha! She's happy. She's extremely happy. That's a very good point. She returned to Draco, her expression as impassive as it always was when she dealt with men. You may join our group if you are so determined. Stars and moons, my wishes have been granted. I can't even get Draco's tone or voice down anymore. Yeesh. And now we have Draco, the half-elf. Calm down. Yes, your almighty Amazon princess ship. Loren sighed in exasperation. Elenor was simply amused. The newly expanded group ended up booking 3 rooms from the cranky owner. Draco and Dora each took their own room, while Loren and Elenor shared a room. They had both settled down when Loren started to undress from her light armor. She stopped before she removed her top when she noticed that Elenor was watching. Elenor couldn't help but stare at the princess's body. She looked perfect in countless ways. Her body was strong, but she was still always elegant, and everything about her had a sense of confidence and loveliness. She was the exact kind of woman she wanted to be more like. She was strong more than just physically. There was no questioning that she was psychologically strong as well, for only a person with great strength of heart would venture onward in search of her mother after such an important person was reported missing. Elenor looked away before the Amazon said anything. You're a very admirable person, Your Highness. Thank you. I'm sure you have many admirers back at the Citadel. I do, but most of them don't. Most of them aren't even worth my time. And that's a woman that knows what she wants, I think. Ah, I see. There are just too many reasons why the only real use of men is to procreate. It's just a shame that more races do not agree with this principle. The world would be a much more peaceful place if they did, don't you agree? Amazons, the ultimate feminists. You're probably right. Probably. I mean, you're most certainly correct, Your Majesty. The sun disappeared beneath the horizon and the room became completely dark as night came. While the conversation could have gone better, that was the moment when Elenor realized just how special Loren was. She was beauty, deadly on the battlefield, and later in this tale, the one to make the most difficult decision. Another thing that points to the fact that Loren is the protagonist, not Elenor. Elenor woke with a start when she heard several suspicious noises and saw that Loren was already awake, hurriedly getting dressed in her armor. Get ready to fight. What, right now? While she sounded surprised, she was already getting ready for the conflict also. We've got trouble brewing. It's probably an assassination attempt. You should have woken up before me if you wanted to earn any respect. Before she had the chance to respond, the glass of the window shattered as several thugs came piling inside. "You have no business here." The thugs didn't respond as they reached for the weapons and started to approach ominously. "State your names." Despite her stentorian orders, they did not respond. Loren drew her swords without further hesitation and hurried towards the first group of thugs. "Be careful after this fight. Blah blah blah. So it's recommended that you save your game now." "No, I'm not gonna do that." Okay. Oh, and another game that I was playing during my severe weather break was another Winter Wolves game called Tales of Loren Season Wolf. I've beaten that game once, alright, but I've also considered doing a Let's Play of that one too. Maybe not after this one, but you know, something for a later time. That one's a little bit more combat orientated than this one is. And that poo, her butt, just keeps pushing them back and forth. Okay. Now back to the butt kicking that we were doing before they decided to switch us up. And yes, most of Eleanor's attacks are gonna be like bow attacks. Because why the heck not? And now we can use our flame torch. Yay!
Either I'm really good or they really work.
I think that might have been Loren. Okay. Now we're gonna level up Elenor and give her more skill, and here we go. After the first wave finished, Draco and Dora burst into the room. "Princess Loren! Elenor! What was all the ruckus?" We heard noises and came as quickly as we could." "You're a bit late, actually." There wasn't enough time for their conversation to continue, though. A new group of enemies started to materialize before them. Their forms seemed to solidify before their very eyes. Elenor tensed instinctively, knowing that there was sorcery at play. The adversaries that had materialized were none other than a few goblins and a giant hulking overlord. It's Grob! The goblin shaman who captured you?" "Yes, be careful. His magic is very powerful." There, now I'm getting the tone back again. "Not even 1 tree tall." "Yeah, Draco, that was misleading with your hyperboles." "Magic's magic. We can handle a few greenies by ourselves." Dora pulled out a short bow and an arrow. Indeed. Boss fight Grob. And yes, they're all going in the back row. Well, first things first, we're gonna make her heal. And that's not cool, guys. That's not cool. Okay, so Dora. We're gonna try to get rid of the back row first, because
Try this on for size.
those guys staying alive might not be a good thing. And then we'll knock down one of them and keep smacking them around. And then we'll have Elenor heal her again. Darn you, Grom! Darn you! Okay, fireball again. And kill that goblin. And now we're on to... Crap, now we have to kill that one. Okay. Okay. Let's keep moving. Okay. Kill the goblin. There. He's dead. And now we have to kill that one. Okay, you're dying, friend. And Draco's out of mana. Do we even have any mana potions? We do. And now we'll probably heal Loren up to full health. And moving onwards. Oh, I did not notice that. Oops.
I'm too much.
Sorry, Grob, but guess what? Since you're in the front row, you get to die first. Do I have any potions to bring her back? Nope. Oh well, sorry, Dora. Wasn't paying attention to your life, and now you're dead. Okay, you're also dying. There we go. And finished. And those two leveled up, so put like a couple skill points into Will and one into Dare, and put a point into Sneak Attack. And now we're on Draco, and give him Fireball 2, because Fireball 2 is a good, kind of a good skill. Yeah, it's a rogue skill. I got a staff and a ruby. Okay. After a series of attacks from the party, Grob finally gave up. The creature collapsed, struggling to breathe. You've lost. Do you have anything to say before I kill you?
Just one thing.
Grob lifted his staff and growled an incantation that cast a spell over the entire group. Draco had no time to protect them from the with an anti-curse, and the group was instantly paralyzed. Loren struggled against the spell, but Grob's sorcery was too much, even for her.
You may have managed to defeat me this time, but this is far from over. I'll have another surprise for you.
The dead goblins and the thugs whom the group had killed were changing form, turning into what looked like city guards. Though they were in a pool of blood, the guards' uniforms were unmistakable. We're in serious trouble now.
I'll hope you like humans, Amazon Queen. You're all going to rot in the Empire's prison now.
Grob disappeared, fading into thin air. Just as he had appeared, the screams were enough to alert the local guards to come running to see what had happened. This is bad.
Blast that Grob, he's fooled me again. You'd think I'd know better by now.
Okay, I guess I'm not getting Draco's tone down anymore. We have more to worry about right now.
Halt! Lower your weapons!
And basically every NPC that's not an important one is gonna get that voice. Even the bad guys. Despite the demands of the guard, Loren had no intention of surrendering. She tried to resist as the soldiers swarmed around them, shouting obscenities. But it was futile. There were too many of them, and soon everyone's hands were shackled behind them, and they were pushed through the streets to their fate. Unhand me at once! Cease your struggling, wench! Wench, you will die this day! Your Majesty, no! Fighting will only make us look guilty. Just let them take us in. I promise I can get us out. You promise? Orp's honor. That's nonsense. You can't promise to get us free from a jail cell. Yeah, I can. I bet you 10 gold I can. The guard pushed Elenor forward harshly, and she stumbled forward with a groan. Listen, I can cast a flash spell to bind them all right now. It'll give us more than enough time to escape. We can take the horses and seek refuge with the elves and the druids. They're friendlier than these guys by far.
What are you guys whispering about?
Shut up! After the guard moved back to restrain Loren, Elenor inched back to Draco and Dora. But the Empire... Oh, those guys? bunch of big meanies, really. They'll just enslave us, you know. No trial or anything. But we can escape right now with my magic. This was a key decision that rested upon their shoulders at that late hour of the night. While their journey was still in its early stages, the importance of this choice was unparalleled. But they had to make the decision quickly, and this is exactly what they did. I think we're going to follow Draco's plan, because really I don't want to become a slave. Throwing caution to the wind, Loren hurriedly accepted Draco's plan. Whoosh! Through the fiery chaos that ensued, the group was able to escape the guards and get out of the city just as they hoped. The group was silent and very somber after they made their escape. They knew very well that the gravity of the situation that they had made that night could very well come back to haunt them. The Empire was a dangerous enemy, but it was impossible to guess how greatly their mission would have been delayed if they had been arrested. Be ready for anything. We're approaching the outskirts of the forest. And she means anything. We have no idea what's in there. I'm pretty sure it's just elves. And actually, I think this is where we're gonna end this for now, so thanks for watching. Comment, like, subscribe if you want to. Bye!